All modern graphics cards, with the exception of the dual flow-through style of the new Founders Edition, have basically 360-degree cooling needs, where air comes out all sides, maybe except the very back, of the graphics card, including the bottom. So this is a 4090 right here from Gigabyte. This is obviously the 5090 Astral, and you can see just how much of the heatsink is exposed to the bottom of the the bottom of the graphics card. But what happens when you put it in your motherboard and you have these modern motherboards like this, where I can't put it on right now because I have these extensions on there, where the entire bottom, with the exception of the overhang, gets blocked off by these motherboard heatsink coolers and stuff for the M.2s and other board elements that are now blocking off the heatsink. Well, today I'm gonna answer the question that nobody asked by putting a 25mm riser on there and doing some before and after testing. It cost me 19 bucks to do this video, so it's pretty low-hanging fruit. If you've ever thought about playing World of Tanks, or you haven't played in years, now might be the perfect time to jump right in. And seriously, this offers for two groups of people. Those that have never played the game, and those that have played the game and maybe fell off and haven't played in years. Because update 2.0 just dropped, and it's the biggest update the game has ever seen. First up, we have tier 11 tanks, 16 new tanks at once, all with unique mechanics and their own upgrade systems. And you can earn them completely free just by playing. The entire garage and UI got a rebuild, so everything is way more intuitive. You can build your tank, upgrade it, and even use the new armor viewer to see exactly where your weak spots are, which is insanely helpful. And they also did a massive rebalance across hundreds of vehicles, and finally fixed one of the biggest complaints, the matchmaker. It's now role aware with tighter tier spreads, so you're getting way more fair and competitive matches. And for new players, there's this feature called Armor Flashlight, where you press Y while aiming, and it literally shows you where to shoot on enemy tanks. And that alone makes learning the game way easier. And with update 2.0, the game is better than it's ever been, with tons of free rewards waiting, and it's still completely free to play. Now, if you use code COMBAT, you'll get a Cromwell B premium tank, 3 additional premium rentals, 250,000 credits, and 7 days of premium time. And if you're a returning player who hasn't played in a while, you'll get extra rewards too, including a tier 8 rental tank. And these bonuses are available for everyone, new, returning, and even current players. But they're especially great if you're just getting started or coming back. So click the link in the description, log in or sign up, and jump in to World of Tanks. All right, so this is just a Gen 5, I think it says PCI-E X16501U18. These are actually, like, some servers and such need this. So you can get this in right angle adapters, left angle adapters, extensions, different length extensions and stuff. And this just happens to be the exact same length as the standoffs that come with our open bench table. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a before and after test with my Astral. I had to use something like, sort of had to Mythbusters this a little bit, where we sort of have to force some results to happen, which already kind of negates the entire purpose of doing it if we have to sort of force it to happen. But here's the testing methodology. As I put this on the bench table, or the test bench here, and this is our GPU test bench, so it's pretty locked down. It's exactly built for getting the best A/B comparisons that we possibly can between different configs of graphics card and graphics card settings. But if you'll notice, when I put the graphics card on the bench, if I can line up the socket, because I can never see with all these shields and stuff. There, it is flush. Like, it is absolutely flush. The only thing that's not being obscured by the motherboard is about that much of the heatsink on the back. Now, fortunately, modern designs are partial flow through, where almost all of them have, you know, parts of the cooler that allow air to just freely flow through the heatsink rather than hitting a backplate and having to make this turn. So fortunately, some efficiency is affected by having this flow through style in the back, but a good chunk of the cooler is completely blocked off by the motherboard. Okay, so that is what it looks like when it's mounted normal. Now here's the way the testing methodology worked here. I ran I'm using 1440p Furmark, but I'm not using the fuzzy donut, I'm using the fuzzy knot. The knot's actually a little harder for it to render. I go 1440p because it will allow the clocks to go to full boost, which in this card is 2940 with GPU boost in effect. And I just let the test run for about 15 minutes, and I just monitored how fast the fan speeds would go. Then what I did was I ended up running, like letting the card cool down and then set the fans static to that speed. If I didn't set the fan static, then what would happen is the fan curve would just come into effect, and then all we would see is what the fan curve effect was of having it on or off the riser. So figuring out what its max fan speed was out of the box settings, stock power limits, all that sort of stuff, stock fan curve, 47% was as fast as the fans would go. Now, it's really conservative because 47% means I really couldn't hear the fans. The temperatures though also weren't really like crazy hot. That's a really big cooler, but it's still 600 watts. That's one of the reasons why I chose the Astral. I started to say I had to use a big card because if you do this with a smaller efficient card, the temps will be lower and the effect will probably be even less noticeable than what you're gonna see in this video here. So that's why I said we myth-busted this, where I kind of found the perfect scenario where we could see any sort of difference, which is why you can already conclude that it's kind of pointless because of the fact that if I had to go through all those hoops to make it show a result, then it's probably not worth the effort. But I still want to answer the question, how much of a difference does it make? Now this is the part where you guys get to cringe, because I have to do the extension. Now the extension doesn't have a lock on it at all, right? So if I was to put it into the graphics card, normally you'd have the little tab retention in the back, right? That would hook onto the tab. There's none of that. It's got some play. So this is where you're gonna definitely cringe. So I'm gonna put that in the slot. Like that. I have to put my extensions on, which these are just the little mounting plates for motherboard / these little rods here that are intended to hold the graphics card. And I definitely had to jankify this in some way. If this was a normal case sitting upright, I definitely wouldn't do this because I wouldn't trust it. But here's what I had to do. So I've got my 3 nuts. Yeah, I've got 3 nuts. Ask yourself how that happened. Anyway, okay, hold on. It won't support the weight, but because the rods, it's definitely like a tooth that's hanging on, because that's not touching nothing, this can just slip out the top right there and only that middle hole is holding it. I then was like, okay, I'm gonna take this guy, which is just a stupid like expansion slot cover for a motherboard, so that I could keep the rods there, all within like the spacing needed to make it actually support the card. I'm not entirely sure that this would hold in a normal upright format. Yeah, sturdy. But look at the gap now. Like there's a huge gap now. So any of the air that is hitting the back of the cooler, or technically the PCB, and then having to make that 90-degree turn up and 90-degree turn down, now the air has somewhere to go rather than just getting plugged off right there, easily losing, I don't know, a good third of the amount of airflow that's needed around the exterior of the card. I've already run the test. I already know the results. I'm just making sure we hit the 10-minute mark. All right, so just for a flow test, I'm gonna just push a little bit of smoke right here into the front fans and see how much of it comes out the bottom. A pretty good amount.
It almost looked like more at the bottom than the top.
See, you can see there's positive pressure right there. Oh, but that's something to consider too, though. It looks like it's picking some of it back up. Look at that. See, it comes out the back right here too. There's a fair amount of recirc happening. Look at that. Yeah, there's actually a fair amount of recirc. More so than I expected. You can see it. Okay. And then obviously the back fan, as you can see, it just flows straight through. All right, so here it is back flat.
Nothing comes out the bottom. It's like sealed effectively.
Yeah. It's crazy how only 47%, the effect these fans have on pulling the air up into it. Like even way back here, right? And obviously right there, that's just going flow through. So even though we have a heat sink down there, no air's going through it because the rear fan's pulling it through. So that part that's open kind of is unaffected anyway. Even if it was blocked, it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to travel that direction. Same thing on the top right here, look. See, it's really low pressure right there.
If anything, a little bit just gets intaked through the side.
Yeah, because of the rear fan.
Yeah.
Huh. So it makes me question the efficiency of even having this be like, I almost feel like that should be blocked off right there so the air is forced all the way through. Okay, well, enough of that. Let's look at the results. All right, so this little guy right here, by opening up the space, here's the charts. 2C difference. We reached about 75.9 C with it against the motherboard at 47% fan speed. And then on the riser, we landed right around 73.2 or so C. So 2 to 2.5 C difference. And you can see that with the full scale of 0 to 90 C on the chart. And if I zoom in and make the range like really narrow so you can see by single digit degree how close it is, it's definitely not worth the more insecure nature of mounting your graphics card. But you can effectively get the same result if you really cared about min-maxing every possible degree of cooling that you can by simply going with a vertical riser if you need to. Now just make sure that your vertical riser itself, because of these flow-through designs, are not too close to, say, your motherboard. Right? Some of these vertical risers will put them really close to the motherboard, and then the flow-through style, which does matter, is now hindered by the wall that's right behind it. That's the same thing that happens now with ITX cases and such that are vertical and have a riser that puts it to the other side, and then the fans are just blowing right into a wall. That's kind of the drawback of that. So the nice thing is, like, the Cooler Master risers allow you to not only control front rear, but also side to side motion, so you can get it as far away from the motherboard as possible, but not too close to the glass, otherwise now you're choking it off in the front. Like, it's just trying to find the sweet spot now. But yeah, here's the other thing too. If I leave, and I tested this, if I leave the fan curve on auto, the temperatures are identical. Because as the temperature starts to go up, so does the fan speed. So the max temperature was the same. It was a 45% fan speed on auto versus 47% fan speed. So apparently the magic number is 2. 2C, 2% for 2C. I just wondered, I was curious, I saw this, and yeah, so there's that. Nobody asked, I answered it anyway. So for all you running your 5090 Astrals and you want it to look like a loose, wiggly tooth, you know how to do it now.
For 2 more degrees cooler.
$19 for 2 degrees. Seems totally worth it. And yeah, you could do this in a regular case too, because these standoffs are the same threading as you would find in the case, like IO mounts. So you would literally just have to, because the distance between here to where it would normally mount and then what I added, this is all the same essentially from here to the top of the graphics card. That's all standardized. Like those distances right there don't change. So you could literally just screw these, these standoffs that are 25 mil into the case, and then it'd be able to mount. The problem is when you rise it up, when you raised it higher, the little prongs, these guys right here, which are also part of support because they have the slots that they fit in your case, these are lifted out of there. So that's why it's all when you're trying to mount it. So, all right, it was just something I saw while scrolling through Amazon. I was like, oh, I wonder if it'll make a difference, but nah, not really. All right, guys, thanks for watching. If you have a question that you want to ask that we'll answer that nobody actually asked, but technically that's a fallacy because you asked, just put it in the comments below and we'll try to accommodate. Unless it's really stupid, then we're guaranteed to do it.